how about on the subject matter of title insurance premiums and the whole idea of how you have to disclose this information in a whole new light?
So it's really interesting because even the CFPB acknowledges that what it's going to require come August 1st may not be in accordance with what a number of states require. But basically they said that doesn't matter. You're going to disclose it the way we want you to disclose it. And their big concern is when you have simultaneous rates and a consumer simply chooses to take a lender's policy and not an owner's policy, and then is suddenly surprised by how much that lender's policy is. So the CFPB is absolutely clear in how they want this to be disclosed. It's not the simultaneous rate, it is the lender's rate and it is the owner's policy, the incremental cost of the owner's policy. So what you do is you take what that simultaneous rate is, you subtract out the full lender's rate, and that will determine what the owner's rate is. So what you are disclosing from a title perspective is the full lender's rate. Even though it may be discounted in the simultaneous rate, that's irrelevant. They don't want that disclosed. They want the full lender's rate disclosed, and then you do the subtraction that I just said, and the incremental cost on the owner's policy, that's what you disclose for the owner's policy itself. That's what you reflect, that incremental cost on the owner's policy, but the full lender's policy, even though under a simultaneous rate, it may be discounted somewhat.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So Mitch, we've had a fantastic hour and have covered a lot of content, and certainly we look forward to having another Q&A soon. As we think about TRID, is there anything that in this conversation that didn't come up that you think is really important for the audience here to know?
Well, I think that, you know, it all pretty much came up, but I think you have to sometimes take a step back and look at the overall picture. As I said, a lot of the structure is the same, but this is a much more nuanced rule. And you have to recognize that there's a lot to this particular rule. In some ways, it makes the process unduly complicated. Different definitions for business days, all kinds of different timing requirements, things along those particular lines. If loan officers are going to be providing loan estimates, they absolutely need to be on top of this particular issue. And it's going to be somewhat difficult at first. A number of companies out there, a number of companies are, I think correctly so, considering or have already determined that they're going to centralize their disclosures or regionalize their disclosures. Timing is everything. Loan officers are going to have to be all over this particular issue. They're going to have to get that information in even when they're not providing the disclosure to whoever is providing the disclosure immediately, instantly. Because otherwise, if we don't know and understand what type of loan we're going to be giving out over here, that loan estimate is going to be absolutely useless to you, and yet you may well be bound by that loan estimate that was given. So that's really important. You have to take a big picture of it, and setting loan officers aside, addressing CEOs that may be on the line, I actually think it makes a lot of sense to consider centralized or regionalized disclosure. I think it's important to have that consistency. I think it's important from a quality control perspective, and I think you'll find a lot fewer problems on your hands.